Picture this, a typical morning in Chicago, Illinois. Suddenly, the peace is shattered by the sound of gunshots. The city is barely awake when the first bullet cuts through the air. It's the 31st of March, 2024, a day that will go down in history for its shocking illustration of violence. The target? A group of young women, their day just beginning, their futures bright. Among them is 19-year-old Ariana Murphy. Her life tragically cut short in this senseless act of violence. Broad daylight, a city bustling with life, and yet such brutality unfolds. It's a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of our everyday lives, of the violence that can erupt at any moment. The community is left reeling, struggling to comprehend the magnitude of the horror that's just unfolded on their doorstep. The echoes of the gunshots still linger in the air, a grim testament to the lives lost and those forever altered. This is not just a story of a single shooting. This is a reflection of a society where violence has become alarmingly commonplace. It's a narrative that underscores the deep-seated issues surrounding gun ownership and the culture of violence. It paints a stark picture of a nation grappling with the devastating consequences of its Second Amendment rights, the constitutional protection that is often a roadblock to stricter gun control measures. As Chicago comes to terms with this tragedy, the rest of the nation watches in shock. The city, known for its vibrant culture and towering skyline, is now the epicenter of a national crisis. The impact of this incident reverberates far beyond the city limits, stirring a profound sense of unease across the country. But as the city grapples with the aftermath, little did they know, this was just the beginning. As the news of the Chicago shooting spread, 6 more shootings would follow, each more harrowing than the last. The sun had barely risen when gunshots echoed through the morning air in a small town in Texas. Lives were disrupted, families shattered as the bullets found their mark. The victims, ordinary people caught in the crossfire of an escalating wave of violence. The barrage of gunfire did not stop there. By midday, 3 more shootings had painted a grim picture of a country under siege. A school in Michigan, a shopping mall in Nevada, and a quiet neighborhood in Florida became the backdrop of this grim tableau. Each incident a chilling testament to the widespread nature of the problem, each victim a stark reminder of the human cost. The reactions from the communities were a mix of shock, fear, and disbelief. Yet within the chaos, stories of heroism and resilience also emerged. Ordinary citizens risked their lives to protect others, to comfort the wounded, and to stand against the tide of violence. In response, law enforcement agencies across the nation mobilized. Officers worked tirelessly amidst the fear and uncertainty to restore order, to protect their communities, and to bring the perpetrators to justice. Their efforts, though often overshadowed by the scale of the problem, served as a beacon of hope in these dark times. As the day drew to a close, 2 more shootings, one in California and another in Arizona, added to the grim tally. Each incident, a stark reminder that this was not a problem confined to any one place or community, but a nationwide issue, deeply rooted in the fabric of the society. In just 24 hours, the country had been rocked by 7 mass shootings, an alarming escalation of violence that left many in shock and despair. In the wake of this violent day, a nation was left to mourn and question, how did this happen? America was left reeling, its people grappling with grief and shock. The air was thick with sorrow, homes filled with mourning, and streets echoing with cries for justice. The echoes reverberated through the halls of power, reaching the ears of those tasked with ensuring the safety and security of the nation. Law enforcement agencies were put under the spotlight, their actions scrutinized, as they launched investigations into the tragic events. The public demanded answers, and the police were under pressure to deliver. From the local precincts to the highest echelons of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, every resource was deployed to bring the perpetrators to justice. Government officials, too, were not spared the public's ire. The day's events triggered a flurry of press conferences and emergency meetings. Politicians from both sides of the aisle were left scrambling, their speeches filled with promises of change and vows of never again. Yet, amid the rhetoric, there was a sense of déjà vu, a feeling of history repeating itself. The debates around gun control, long simmering beneath the surface, were reignited with newfound intensity. Advocates for stricter gun laws pointed to the day's events as a stark reminder of the urgent need for reform. Detractors, on the other hand, stood firm on their interpretation of the Second Amendment, arguing that the problem was not with the guns, but with the people wielding them. As the dust settled, the question remained: how could this happen? And how can it be prevented in the future? The events of this day threw into sharp relief the urgency of addressing gun violence in the United States. As we have witnessed, the harrowing 24 hours of violence, spanning 7 shootings, underscore the grave need for stricter gun control measures. These tragic incidents are not isolated events, but rather they form a part of a larger, more complex narrative of gun violence that continues to plague the nation. The cornerstone of this issue lies within the realm of the Second Amendment, a constitutional right deeply ingrained in the American psyche, which poses significant challenges to the implementation of stricter gun control measures. This amendment, though essential in the foundational fabric of the nation, has been interpreted in ways that allow for an alarming proliferation of firearms, exacerbating the cycle of violence. Moreover, the cultural significance of gun ownership further complicates the issue. Many view it as a symbol of personal freedom and self-reliance, making it difficult to establish a consensus on stricter gun regulations. However, the cost of this freedom, as evidenced by the events of March 31st, is devastatingly high. It's important to remember that the issue of gun violence is not just about statistics or constitutional interpretations, it's about human lives. Lives of people like 19-year-old Ariana Murphy, and countless others who have been victims of this ongoing crisis. With the upcoming elections, the spotlight is on those in power to take action. The clock is ticking, and every second counts in the fight against gun violence.